Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I'm Steve.
And I'm Scott.
Together, we're Backyard Musings, broadcasting live Apple Valley, California.
And we are the Science and Technology Channel.
Yeah. Before we launch in, just want to say that we can't ignore the fact of the riots that are going down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pretty disgusting.
Yeah.
Nothing peaceful about those protests.
Yeah. And I was listening to the people downtown, the citizens. They're outraged that the guard is there, that the police is pushing back, that ICE is raiding, but there's cars on fire and there's bricks being thrown.
Yeah, I don't understand.
And they're saying people are being kidnapped. Well, they're getting arrested. They're not IDing. Well, you commit a crime, you're going to get cuffs slapped on. You're going to go away, and then you'll be ID'd.
Yeah. You know? What part of the word illegal do we not understand, right?
Or committing crime, do we not,
right. And coming into our country without documentation and knowing who we are or who the people are is dangerous to our society, and it is illegal. And, I'm grateful that there's people that are in charge of that right now that are taking care of it rather than just giving us a bunch of lip service saying our border is secure and letting people in by the busloads, the plane loads.
Right there,
yeah.
Scott.
So we need to be grateful for those people, because not only are they're doing a job, they're doing a dangerous job, and obviously this is crazy stuff that's happening. But this kind of explains, for those of you who leave comments on other posts and stuff about, why do you still live in California? Sometimes we ask that, and the people that are committing these issues or these crimes right now, both the burning and the rioting and all that stuff, I don't even know if they're from California. We don't know.
Dude's waving the Mexican flag. He's probably from Mexico.
You don't know. Maybe he's from Las Vegas. Maybe he's from Henderson, Nevada. I don't know. These people are being subsidized by big money, and they're being brought in to do this kind of stuff. They've even said that they've seen a lot of the same faces in some of the videos that they've seen in other riots in years past. So this is organized. This is not just, Mr. and Mrs. Jones down on the corner getting upset and coming out of their house and showing their concern for their community. There may be that. And I get that. We're entitled to do that. We have the right to do that. But these people are organized. It's almost like an army, like an invasion. So, for the people that are running our state, our governor, the lady that's supposedly in charge of Los Angeles, Karen Bass, these people are not, they are not looking out for the overall good of our state.
No.
And that not just in this, but in other things. But this is where it really shines. And it's a sad deal, because there's good people that live down there, and they're just caught up in it. And I'm waiting for the time when it starts to try to filter out this way. And that always happens, right? It starts to come out in like the Inland Empire, and then come into the high desert.
It'll eventually get up to us.
Yeah, small little outbursts and stuff, but nothing like what they're going through right now. So, and this is a sad deal.
All right, here we go. Portable technology captures molecules in breath to support medical care, from managing diabetes to monitoring newborn development. If you've ever waited at the doctor's office to give a blood sample, which I have, like at the lab at Kaiser, you might have wished there were a way to get the same information without using needles. Despite many medical advances in the 20th century, detecting molecules has largely relied on liquid samples such as blood. Needles are not going away. We got to get flu vaccines and anthrax shots and whatever, so they're not going away. But new research from the University of Chicago may offer an alternative. A team of scientists has developed a small, portable device that can collect and detect molecules in the air, a breakthrough with potential applications across medicine and public health. The study is published May 21st in Nature Chemical Engineering. Would you like to know more?
The device, called ABLE, could one day detect airborne viruses or bacteria in hospitals and public spaces, help monitor newborns, or allow people with diabetes to measure glucose through their breath, which would be That's huge.
Yeah, huge.
The entire unit measures just 4 by 8 inches, which is not
That's
much
pretty
bigger
small.
than a checkbook, right? And maybe a little thicker, probably.
Give it a couple of years and it'll get down to like the size of a phone.
Yeah. And for those of you, checkbook, that's how we used to pay stuff. We used to write checks. So anyway, quote, "This project is among the most exciting endeavors we've pursued," said University of Chicago professor Bozhai Tayan, one of the senior authors on the paper. Going on with the quote, "There are so many potential applications. We're delighted to see it come to fruition."
It sounds
That's
exciting.
Yeah.
For decades, detecting molecules in the air has been more difficult than detecting the same molecules in liquids. That is why doctors rely on blood tests and why people with diabetes often need daily pinpricks. It's annoying, those pinpricks on your fingers. Your fingers get all beat up. Fingertips.
Right. It's a deterrent too, right? That's why people don't do it, because they don't want to have to do that.
Yeah.
So they forget to do it.
Even the at-home COVID test, many people use requiring adding liquid droplets.
Yeah. Another quote here: "We can use cell phones to take pictures or record audio, but we don't have similar technology to see the air chemistry."
Makes sense.
Yeah, said Jing Chen Ma, the first author of the study, who was formerly a postdoctoral researcher at the University of Chicago and is now assistant professor at the University of Notre Dame. Okay.
Yeah. Part of the challenge is dilution. In air, the particles you want to detect, such as a few viruses, might be as rare as 1 in a trillion. That makes detection extremely difficult and, until now, has required large and expensive equipment.
A team of University of Chicago scientists set out to solve that problem by finding a way to turn air into liquid, making it easier to read. The team designed a multi-part system. First, a pump sucks in the air for the reading. Next, a humidifier adds water vapor, and a miniature cooling system lowers the temperature. This causes the air to condense into droplets with any relevant particles suspended inside. The droplets slide down a specially designed ultra-slick surface and collect into a small reservoir.
Doesn't that sound easy? I mean, this
Sure.
methodology sounds really easy. From there, detectors can easily pick up the concentrations of molecules in the liquid using pre-existing and readily available equipment for liquid detection. As they put together the device, they weren't sure whether they would be able to capture some types of molecules that evaporate, easily known as volatile molecules.
For one early proof of concept, Ma used a cup of coffee as a test. He blew a puff of vaporized coffee into the system to see if it could be successfully collected and detected. When the liquid condensed out, he didn't even need to run tests to know it had worked. The distinct aroma of coffee emanated from the liquid. Fascinating.
And we're not advocating drinking coffee.
Yeah, but there's a lot of drinks that have
that are distinct
smell, aroma to them.
In further tests, they found they could successfully detect glucose levels from breath, detect airborne E. coli, and pick up markers of inflammation from the cages of mice with poor microbiome gut health. They named the system ABLE for Airborne Biomarker Localization Engine. That's okay. I like that.
All right. The initial inspiration for the study, Tian said, was a trip he made years ago to the Stephen family neonatal intensive care unit at University of Chicago's Comer Children's Hospital as a part of his ongoing work with the Center for the Science of Early Trajectories. The science founder, Professor Erica Claude, wished that there was a way to run tests on her tiny patients without drawing blood or other invasive methods.
Like on newborns, yeah?
Yeah, just the idea. I mean, could you imagine? What they're getting pricked and prodded and I don't even think about that. That's
Claude, who is the section chief of the neonatology and the Stephen Family Professor in Pediatrics, now hopes to be able to put this newly developed technology to use. Quote, "Premature infants are some of the most vulnerable and fragile patients that we care for in medicine," she said. "The promise of this technology is that we will be able to non-invasively track newly identified biomarkers to optimize care for these infants."
All right. Yeah, that sounds good. The researchers can also imagine many other uses, but there's a challenge. The ability to easily detect airborne molecules is so new that scientists don't even yet know what molecules they would need to look for.
That's just going to take time and practice.
Weeding out, yeah,
Yeah,
right. Just process of elimination. Right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
It's my turn.
I know. Sorry.
Come on, man.
It's early.
You trying to hog the show?
No.
For example, the group is now collaborating with a doctor who treats inflammatory bowel disease. It's likely you could detect markers of inflammation from the breath of patients with IBD, but they would first need to be cataloged. So I guess you got to, this molecule corresponds to that thing. So you got to get your little list going.
Yeah. Chart out, right? Get a little graph going. The team also wants to refine the design and miniaturize it further to make it wearable. Interesting. Finally,
Yeah, that is interesting.
A mechanical engineer who has a background in fluidics. Okay, losing a syllable in there. Is excited about the implications for revealing new principles of physics.
Yeah, Bernoulli fluids. Yeah.
Right.
Quote, this work might start many new studies on how these airborne impurities affects phase change behaviors, for example, and the new physics can be applied for many applications, he said. I like it. This is great. Yeah?
I would imagine anybody that ever has to get a diabetes test, which they do it multiple times a day, right? At least twice a day.
Or check your cholesterol level.
Cholesterol, right? Anything that's evasive like that or painful.
Check if you've got herpes.
This is the way to go.
Yeah.
This is something I could see this being sold on Amazon in a few years, right?
Yeah.
Because what was that? One of those first sentences that we always like. We're finally trying to see this come to fruition. I mean, it's going to be out there. We're not going to just be talking about tests. They're going to market this thing.
Keep an eye on this. It could come out quickly.
This is a cool thing.
Yeah.
Cool thing.
Thanks a lot, folks. We'll talk to you in the morning.
Take care, everyone.